Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mrs. John Baptist Aaron. Welcome back. It's good to have you back at work. Mr. Piper, Discover Dominica, and the members of the media who are here this morning. As I indicated at the last press briefing that I was present, we will be speaking about tourism today, and I'm pleased that we can be here this morning to provide some updates from our last press briefing. The last time we were here on October 30th, we basically discussed with you the state of the industry at that point in time, and we highlighted some of our plans for the upcoming weeks. We have quite a few updates today, and I would like to start with stakeholder engagement. From our last press briefing, the Ministry of Tourism and Urban Renewal has been involved in a number of stakeholder meetings. We've met with all of the tourism stakeholder groups. That includes the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, the Dominica Water Sports Association, the Dominica Community Tourism Association, the Combined Taxi, the vendors, and tour guides, and all the other major groupings. We have received a number of recommendations from these groups. One of these recommendations was that a post-Maria task force be appointed, and as of November 1st, the Minister of Tourism has appointed a task force, and this is what we call a post-Maria tourism task force. This task force is chaired by Mr. Gregor Nassif. So far, 2 meetings have been held, one joint meeting with the Ministry of Tourism and Urban Renewal and the Discover Dominica Authority, where we looked at the initial function of the task force and the expectations of the Ministry of Tourism and the expectations of the committee or the private sector groupings. Since then, the task force has met and has presented to the Ministry of Tourism a 60-day plan, which is focused on the development or rebuilding of the sector in an effort to prepare us for cruise early in the next year. In addition to the task force, we are working along with the Discover Dominica Authority to provide weekly updates to our stakeholders, and Mr. Piper will speak to a new website that Discover Dominica has developed, which will be launched today. And this website, dominicaupdate.com, will provide updates on the progress of the tourism sector and the progress of Dominica overall as we move along post-Maria. As it relates to cruise, again, and engagement of our stakeholders, in the stakeholder meetings that we've had, our tour operators and service providers have indicated to us that within 60 days that they can be ready to accommodate the cruise sector. And in that regard, we have written to, the minister has written to all of the major cruise lines, indicating that we are in the process of making ourselves ready for January 1st to accommodate cruise lines back to Dominica. In that regard, we are currently engaged in an aggressive site rehabilitation plan. So by November 1st, we would have completed an assessment of all of our sites and prepared a comprehensive site rehabilitation plan from the Ministry of Tourism. To date, the only sites that we have not fully assessed are the sites in the southeast because of access, but we have visited all of our major ecotourism sites, our community tourism sites, our yachting and other coastal and marine resources. Post our assessment, we have sat with the stakeholders to identify the priority sites. So the Tourism Task Force has actually highlighted to us the sites that they believe would be priority, particularly as it relates to cruise and yachting. And since then, effective November 6th, we have started the rehabilitation of trails, clearing of debris from the beach and other sites. I can report today that last week we visited the Emerald Pool with a Cuban team of 11 chainsaw operators and also a team engaged by the Ministry of Tourism from the Casablanca area. And today, the trail is 80% clear. Actually, there is access restored all the way to the pool. And this is quite an achievement for us because initially when we met, we estimated that it would have taken about 3 weeks to clear the Emerald Pool Trail based on our initial assessment. The first day our staff went out to hike the Emerald Pool post Maria. It took them 2 hours through the entry trail and the exit trail. And with the plan that we had, our estimated time was 3 weeks for clearance of the trail. With the assistance of the Cubans, and I can say that they are working extremely fast and they've been extremely helpful, we have been able to clear access to the trail, to the Emerald Pool site in 2 days. So we do have a team which is currently still on site clearing up the remainder of the debris. I've been to the site myself with some of our staff to assess the work that has been done. Of course, the landscape has changed in terms of the trail. The trail is still there. The trail is very steady. The Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry had done a good job with building of the trail bed prior to Maria, so that still remains. But we do have quite a number of down trees. The trees that have blocked the trail have all been cleared, and you can walk right now all the way down to the pool. The pool is just a little bit larger, and it's just as beautiful as it was before. Of course, like I said, the landscape has changed. You can see the pool from much further away now. The site is still closed even if there is access to the pool, and I have to tell you that at the time we visited on Friday, we did meet about 2 visitors who were there at Emerald Pool, and we were pleased to see that we are still having some visitors back in Dominica, although they had planned to visit Dominica prior to Maria and they decided to keep their bookings. The Trafalgar Falls Trail, we've moved there as of Thursday with the Cuban team and also with a team of chainsaw operators from the Trafalgar area. And the Trafalgar Falls Trail, I would say, is about 70% complete in terms of clearance of debris. We were also able to, well, most of our team, walk all the way to the platform, the viewing platform. However, there is a landslide along a certain section of the trail that requires clearance, but as it relates to the debris from trees along the trail, that has been completed by the Cuban team. As is the case with Emerald Pool, we do have a team which is remaining on site to clear the remainder of the debris, and we should see the trail fully cleared, with the exception of the area where we have this landslide, by the end of today. As it relates to the Botanical Gardens, as you know, this is under the jurisdiction of forestry, but since it is one of our major sites and attractions, we are working in collaboration with the forestry department. So we have engaged a number of truckers to assist forestry in clearing or removing some of the logs from the gardens, and the team of Cubans will also engage at the Botanical Gardens along with local handymen to clear the gardens. So the work at the Botanical Gardens is ongoing, and that the Ministry of Tourism will continue to provide support for during this week. Midland Falls Trail has been cleared by the Ministry of Tourism. We have engaged a team, and that area, at least the loader entrance, is 100% complete. The reception facility did not suffer much damage in that area, so the Midland Falls site is pretty much back up to normal. As relates to Mount Bruce, our urban renewal team has been clearing the road to Mount Bruce, and most of the debris in the main road has been cleared, and we are currently in the process of clearing the path to the cross and brush cutting the area. So by the end of today as well, Mount Bruce Lookout Point should be complete in terms of clearance. Today, the Cubans are also at the Syndicate Bird Trail with the Ministry of Agriculture and the Forestry Division. So some work is taking place at Syndicate to clear the bird trail, and we do expect to move to Spanny Falls by Wednesday of this week. So as it relates to the major sites, these are the updates that we have. In addition to the main eco sites, we are also working with teams from the various communities to re-establish our community tourism sites. So Mero, I'm not sure many of you have been to Mero as yet, but I visited Mero. Well, I live in Mero, and I can tell you what the beach looked like the day after Maria and what the beach looked like yesterday, with lots of visitors from across Dominica. The Mero community has done an excellent job in cleaning up the environment in Mero. and the Ministry of Tourism has actually gone in there to do a site visit to work with the community on clearance of the remainder of the beach. So the community has been able to so far clear most of the debris from the general area surrounding the community, but on the castaway section we still do have a pile up of debris in that area. So we should have some heavy equipment going in there to assist us with clearance of the balance of the debris, and we are working with the mayoral committee to get the site back up and running. As you know, Mayoral Beach is one of the key sites for cruise tourists, and this is an area that has been highlighted as priority for us. The ministry has also decided to engage a team of young men in addition to the NEP team from the mayoral community to assist with the continuation of the cleanup of the Mayoral Beach. Portsmouth, the ministry has collaborated with PAYS to continue the cleanup of the Portsmouth Beach. Initially, PAYS had already done most of the cleanup of Purple Turtle along with other stakeholders in this area. We recently had a discussion with PAYS. I believe they began about 2 days ago to clean up the beachfront from the Indian River all the way to the Moroccan Hotel, and that should be taking place. That started on Friday and should be continuing this week. As relates to the Indian River, we have been working along with PRODGA, the Indian River tour guides, and Cobra Tours and the others in that area to clean up the Indian River. That has started and is almost about 80% complete, and we will continue to work with the Indian River tour guides to ensure that the Indian River can be ready for the season. We also have an issue with the Indian River as relates to siltation in the river, and that has created some difficulty for the boats going up the river. So the ministry, even prior to Maria, had planned to do a project at the Indian River for dredging of that project. But we do have to conduct an environmental impact assessment, well, prior to beginning the dredging, so that is ongoing. And as soon as that is complete, then we'll begin the dredging to accommodate the tours of the Indian River. Of course, our buildings, all of our buildings have been cleared of debris. We are currently just awaiting estimates for repair of some of our reception facilities, and by next week we hope to begin work on the areas that have been damaged. Urban renewal, as you're aware, we are also responsible for Roseau, and I would really like to point out that we've had a team over the last few weeks, actually from the week of Maria, 2 days after Maria, a team engaged by the Ministry of Tourism headed by Mr. Tit. They've been involved in cleaning up the city, and I think that they've done an excellent job. I believe that most of Dominicans would agree with me. So far, we've actually completed the major cleanup of Roseau proper in terms of the debris from Hurricane Maria. What is taking place in Roseau now is just continuing the daily cleanup, which is something that the Ministry of Tourism had initiated prior to Maria. Right now, probably because we did such a good job in Roseau, the team has been asked to move out to some of the urban areas surrounding Roseau. So currently, the team is working in Goodwill, Bath Estate, Kings Hill, Emsall and Castle Comfort during this week, so that we can also see some more improvement in these areas. We do realize that in some of these areas you may not have village councils, to be able to mobilize people post-Maria. So the Ministry of Tourism and Urban Renewal is also taking up that responsibility. The last time I was here, I did mention, I think there was a question from Maurice about the individuals who are now cleaning up their residences or commercial enterprises in Roseau. What we would like to say again is that this week we would like to see everyone who has to clean up their basement, their commercial enterprise, their residence, that whatever debris you have, that it be put out this week, so that we can do a final, clearance this week. We would really like to move from clearing up of debris to re-establishing Roseau as we know it used to be and what we planned for it to be prior to Maria. So there is some work that we have to do on the bayfront to reorganize the planters, the lighting, the sidewalk, the old market. We are supposed to be doing some work on the roof, and also the vending areas to assist the vendors in getting back on track. So there are a number of things that we would like to do in Roseau. Replanting of some of the landscaping that we've had in several areas around the city, and we do need to ensure that we can wind down the clearance of debris so that work can start. So this week we would like to ensure that whatever debris is still in any of the buildings that are around Roseau, that be put out so that our trucks can clear these areas. After that, you will have to take responsibility for whatever you put out in your area. In addition to that, I would also like to say that there are some abandoned properties in Roseau that are filled with debris. We can assist, but we would like to know who the property owners are, and if they require our assistance with clearing out of those abandoned lots, then the Ministry of Tourism and Urban Renewal will be pleased to do so. This sort of gives us an opportunity to be able to establish some clear areas in Roseau. Initially we had planned to have some open areas that we're going to have established for sitting areas, planting of some trees, some landscaping that we wanted to do in the city. So we would like to ensure that we have all of the areas clean so that we can move on to that. So as it relates to sites and urban renewal, I think these are the major updates that we have from tourism, and we will continue to provide updates to our stakeholders. We will be responding to the letter submitted to us from the task force with the 60-day plan, but just to inform our stakeholders that the recommendations from the sector is in sync and in line with the plans that we have at the Ministry of Tourism and at DDA for post-Maria redevelopment or rebuilding of the industry. So we are basically working hand in hand with our stakeholders, and we expect to have their support as we continue. Thank you very much.